recording 7. Now, what we've got in front of us here is a massively important principle, which we use in leadership training and is important for the ambassadors in the following way. As an ambassador, you find yourself in many different functions. Yeah, it's possible that you have a job title which is A, B, or C, and that job title has potentially got nothing to do with actually what you do. In some situations, you're going to be an advisor. In a lot of the ambassador work, you are a member of a team. Sometimes you're going to be leading that team. Sometimes you're negotiating. Sometimes you're representing your organization. As an ambassador, you are also a representative of the ambassador group itself. Yeah, and what this picture says, and there's a document there which looks at it in quite a bit of detail. It says that, you know, if you're an advisor, you're not a leader. If you're a leader, you're not a team member, or you might be, but if you're being paid to lead at a particular stage, then the tasks of leadership are very, very clear. You measure stuff. You judge, is it right or wrong? You decide, is it a good idea or a bad idea? Do we move forward with it, yes or no? You control the process, you control the outcomes. So in the context of the ambassador's work, if you're doing something and you're finding yourself where you have to measure, judge, decide, or control, then you are in a leadership function. As soon as you are in a leadership function, regardless of what it is, you have to say to the people that you're working with, look, guys, I'm in the leadership function here because it's up to me to measure, judge, decide, and control, which means I'm going to exercise my function to the best of my ability. Yeah, no wishy-washy leadership, please. The worst meeting in the world is a meeting where you've got 5 or 6 people sitting around a table and everybody is saying, who's in charge here? Who's going to decide? Yeah. And so you don't want to be in that situation. You find out who's going to be in charge because somebody ends up with the job of measurement, judgment, decision, and control. If that ends up on your plate, yeah, you have been given, whether you like it or not, the function of leadership. And that is critical then to embrace it or to give it to somebody else if that's necessary as well. But as soon as that leadership function has been identified, then somebody needs to embrace it clearly, quickly, effectively. So be clear about your function in every situation. That is the main moral of that story. Any questions?
It's very clear, Tim. I was just going to ask, what about, in what way can you discover your function if you're not quite sure, you know, going into a new environment, what your function is supposed to be?
Stick your hand up and say, who's responsible for making the decision here? Nobody? Are you okay if I take that job? They will say, yes, please do it. Or they will say, yeah, which means basically you're sticking your hand up and saying, who's in charge? And if the answer is nobody, then the next question is, I'm prepared to take this leadership role for this particular group of people in this context, but that has consequences. I will exercise that leadership, you know, function to the best of my ability. The reality is that if you're in the situation where you have to ask, the other people in that room are going to be so thankful that you say, would you like me to lead?